Just looking through some old photographs that I could use for painting today, and I come across this one. This is the River Cole, walking from Kingshurst to Chelmsley Wood. I know it's 8 years ago now I did that walk. It makes me feel sad actually when you look at how the time passes, how you can't get it back. But this is a bend in the River Cole. Got a few little reflections, so I'll have a go at this one today. So just quickly go through the materials. These are my colours. We've got ultramarine, lemon yellow, Payne's grey, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, burnt umber, and then light red. They're all Cotman watercolour tubes squeezed out, just let them dry on the palette. Main brush is the big Ron Ranson Ake. Got a water jar here and 15 by 11 Fabriano, £130. So let's look at the picture and then I'll get cracking. So let's start with a bit of clear water all the way over the paper. Just stops it from getting all crinkly and horrible. Lets it stretch evenly. You can do this before you start the painting if you like. I'll just do it as I'm going along. And I'm going to go into a little bit of raw sienna. I'm just sort of just bashing it in as quick as I can, just to try and get random shapes and patterns. So I don't want just one uniform, same toned sort of background, because it just looks boring. Clean the brush, and I'm going into ultramarine. This will be our sky, showing behind the trees. That comes in there like that. Waft it straight in, and then a bit of that sky colour in the water, which is going to be around this sort of area. Now what I'm doing, I'm looking for any bits of paint that are dripping, any water, anything dripping down the page. I'm just mopping it up as I go along. And also the other advantage of this is it makes your sky look a bit more sort of textured and interesting. You could dry your brush if you want. Dry your brush, squeeze the water out like that. Just get your fingers in there, squeeze it out, take the excess off on the towel. You can do the same thing, but this time you're sort of soaking up the paint and making like little cloud shapes in there. Just makes the sky look a bit more realistic. Little clouds amongst all the blue and the raw sienna bits. So that's the general background. Next I want to put in the most distant tree. So I'm going to mix the same two colours, bit of raw sienna, bit of ultramarine. You're going to use the corner of the brush. I'm going to start, there's the right, I'm going to start about there. And then just flick up. I've introduced a little bit of lemon yellow. A bit more that ultramarine. A bit more that ultramarine, that's it, I make raw sienna. There's the ultramarine, bit of lemon yellow. And I'm just constantly trying to vary these background trees. A bit more down there. That looks quite nice. Yeah. In front of that, let's see what this looks like. And then while it's there, I'm just going to pull down some reflections. I should have done that while I had that blue and stuff on the brush as well. So I'm going to faff around now trying to mix the same colours. Just something. Doesn't have to be exact, just there or thereabouts, and the viewer's eye will do the rest. Let's get a bit of Payne's grey on there. Just darkening that area. I want to try and save that light a bit there. It's a little bit darker. That reflects around there like that. There's a big tree up there, so what I'm going to do is something like that. Get a bit of blue in there. Something like that. And then what I'm going to do, in the gaps, reflect a little bit of that down there. And then in the gaps, I'm going to take my number 3 rigger. Let's make a branch trunky colour. So I'm just doing burnt umber and a bit of ultramarine. Quite a dark mix. And then in the little bits between all the green, I'm just going to pop in a few branches here and there. Bit more water, a bit more brown and blue mixed together. You get a really dark colour. You can get black if you mix it right. People say to me, "What's the darkest colour on your palette? What's your darkest mix? What do you mix with Payne's Grey?" I don't even use Payne's Grey. I just go burnt umber and ultramarine, and if you mix it right, you can get black. I don't want black for this. I just want something fairly dark, just so that it stands out. But I'm just painting between the foliage that you can see there. That's why I left all the gaps, just so I can stick these twigs in between. Some big ones there. A few little reflections down there. Right then. See how the paper's coming away from the board? It has stretched a little bit, so I'm just going to unclip it, and then I'm just going to pull it tight against me 9mm piece of plywood that I have leaning against this easel. I've got it up right, but that's only because it suits the camera angle. So otherwise, a lot of people, they're looking down. You've got to have the camera on the ceiling, sort of looking down. It's a pain in the backside doing it that way. So I'll do it like this. Right, I just want something on the bank, just want to define where that river bank is. So I'm just going to go into a bit of brown there, just sort of mark it slightly, so we know where it is. I don't want to go too balmy. I might even just scrape in a little rock. I think that one's okay there. We don't have to do any more with that. Right, let's start moving on onto this left hand side. So some big trees again. So something similar to this, but a little bit smaller. Just have a dollop of that raw sienna there. So you see I've got a few colours now on the brush. The advantage of that, they're all mixed together, give you plenty of variation. Now, so I've got, there's the raw sienna. Let's get a bit of cadmium yellow in there as well. Mix that in. It's quite a dry brush. The advantage of that is it won't block in when I put the strokes on. It's sort of dry brush effect. So you can see through the tree into the sky and whatever you got in the background there. I'll start off with the loose light colours. Might go for a little bit darker. Got some big dollops of raw sienna on there, just adds to the nice bit of texture. Get a bit more yellow. Oh no, this is coming down. Coming somewhere like that. Just a bit of lamb. Let's add a bit of darker colour in there. I'm just giving cad yellow, a bit of ultramarine, darken it in places. A bit more up there as well. Little bit of reflection, not so much land there, water. All this left hand foreground is going to be river bank, just a bit of grass really. Now again, so that's our main tree. What I might do is just darken this corner. Can you see the tones are virtually identical, but that's supposed to be far away. So to bring this a little bit closer, I'm just going to mix a dark mix, cad yellow, bit of ultramarine, and I'm just darkening that corner there. And you see now that looks a lot closer now, that looks further away. Right. let's stick some twigs in between the branches. So I'm back with the number 3 rigger. This is burnt umber with a bit of ultramarine, a bit more water needed, loosen the paint up, it's got a little bit dry. And I'll just twist it, bring it to a nice sharp point, and then again in the breaks, in the foliage, just pop in your branches. That's a bit thick, that is. Let's try and do some big trunks down the bottom. Just keep reloading your brush as and when you need. Might even do a few little fingernail reflections. That'll do for that. I'm not going to faff around too much. It's going to start burning umber. It's getting really dark down here. I'm just trying really careful not to overdo it. Bring that out down there like that. Might even get away with. There is. I'm just looking. I don't know if that's a rock or a shopping trolley. I don't know what it is in there. Let's just scrape some down. I'll do just a suggestion of a few rocks, just breaking up that mass of mud in the bank. Right in. Use this over there. No, I don't want to get too mad. Let's just put some of that darker colour down there. I'm just a bit conscious that I've got some quite dark tones here and lighter ones here, and yet they're the same distance away. So I'm just trying to even it up slightly. So just making it a little bit darker. A little bit dark. Let's just go a little bit darker up there. That's something I don't do very often. Sort of negative shape. So some sort of trying to make this a bit more obvious by painting the background really dark. You can always obviously remember that shadow, the reflection needs to be a bit darker as well if I'm doing that dark. Yeah, that works a little bit better, I think. Next we've got our bank here, like a bank of grass. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to sort of nice light grassy colour. So I'm going to clean the brush, just squeeze out some of that excess water, and then the rest I can do on the tea towel. And I'm going to go into this cadmium yellow, bit of yellow, bit of raw sienna there. I'm sort of holding up the brush quite a long way down the handle because it helps just get more sort of random effects. So I'm sort of pushing that up there like that. Back into the cad yellow. Push that. Now I've got the reflection stopping there, so I just want to say far I want to push the bank up. Just up to those reflections. Do it there like that. So I've started off light, so now I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine. Start to get a little bit darker. See, look, I don't want to get it too dark. In fact, I'm going to clean the brush. Try and get back to a light colour. Back into that cadmium yellow. Even a few little grasses and reeds growing by the water's edge. Just brush them up there like that. And just flick a few. They're all going up perfectly parallel. Some sort of spinning round, some to the left, some to the right. Going on down there. A little bit darker down there, just to break that up a little bit. I think we need to add a little focal point, so I think just by the water's edge somewhere, let's start off a bit of light red, bit of ultramarine. And I'm just going to get the blue. The little man, there's his. And now stick his little dog there by the water's edge. Don't forget your little reflection. I'm just going to pull down just a basic, very basic shape. Just something there, give you the impression of something being reflected in the water. Just gives a little focal point, a sense of scale to the scene. Could have a little some birds flying around, and then last but not least, just down here I'm going to stick my name in the corner. Now let's see what that looks like with the names on it. So here's the painting with the mountain. So if we go down and have a closer look at it. First thing I did was a very simple sky that's reflected down into the water, very, very light in tone. And so just like the photograph here, very little going on in the sky area, bit of light reflected down in the water below. The rest of the water is reflection of the foliage you can see. And then first thing I did was these background trees using the same colours as the sky. A little bit of reflection down below, brought those all the way across before I started working on the foreground, well, sort of middle ground stuff, sort of darker toned foliage. So this right hand side, so various mixes of greens, and then in between the leaves and things you can see where I've just added the twigs and branches there, come down, they're reflected in the water below. It helps make your water a bit more realistic. And then also I've tried to enhance this bank here. You can see by darkening the sort of the bushes that were sort of behind that, it sort of brings this out a little bit, and again put the reflections in. A little bit of card work there, scraping a few rocks in, put a few reflections down below, and also this darker section as well. You can see I've just scraped a little bit of fingernail work there just to suggest the odd twig and branch there amongst all the shadows. This left hand side, various mixes, got big dollops of raw, see that's still wet actually, the bigger the dollop the longer it takes to dry. Raw sienna, and then no, actually it doesn't actually look that green, does it? I didn't notice just how ungreen it looked really, just very light tones, bit of cad yellow, ultramarine, but not very green, eh? Again, darker sections, reflections, just a little bit of reflection there in the water. And where it was dark, I've done a bit more scraping with the fingernail to suggest a few more branches and twigs there hidden amongst the depths. In contrast to the darker tones of these tree areas and bushes, I kept this foreground quite light. Mainly sort of cadmium yellow, a bit of raw sienna, and then ultramarine just to darken it a little bit. And then just use the rigger brush, just all these reeds and things by the waters. You can see this foreground area in the photograph, just very, very light with a few bits of grasses on the edge. So I've just kept it the same in the painting. No real need to change it. And then there was no real focal point in the photograph. So I've added just a little figure there in his dog, just to give a sense of scale and somewhere to lead the eye. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you painted along with me. Remember, you'll see a link below to my Patreon page if you'd like to help me out, help fund all this artwork and help pay towards the bills, keep it sustainable, basically buy time so I can make more videos basically and make everyone happy. So in the meantime, keep practicing. Any questions, please ask, and I'll see you again soon.